How tall are you that everybody was commenting on that?
I'm right at 5'10". I was looking at my page the other day and I noticed that I never smiled, did not make eye contact with it, no matter how many times a photographer would be like, okay, now bring your eyes to me. It's like, I don't want to. Every once in a while, we see our neighbor's cow walk across the road. And I'm like, after the therapy session, I just looked at myself. I was like, wow, I'm 3.
Influencer Insight shares the battles, stories, success of the models, influencers, and entrepreneurs as they find the balance of being influential leaders today while creating long-lasting impact for the future.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of Influencer Insights, where I have Brandy Scibelli from Richmond, Virginia, who joins me this evening. We were comparing notes. It's starting to snow in Canada, and it was about 80 degrees in the daytime for her down there. So it's a bit of a contrast, but we're really glad to have Brandy on, sharing her story. She's been modeling for 4 or 5 years. She's a student. She's going back for some more studies in nursing and healthcare. So big props to her in saving the rest of us. So yeah, welcome, Brandy. Glad to have you on tonight.
Yeah, glad to be here, Ben.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started modeling and how you're working with that, and schooling, if you want to go into that. Up to you.
So when I was younger, I vogued more on the skinny side. So everyone, of course, and I was tall. Of course, everyone's like, oh, you should model. But I come from a less unfortunate family. That was not an option. But every time I would go to friends' houses and whatnot, I would see the pictures of them at their sporting events or homecoming and all different things. It's like, wow, I wish I was cool enough for someone to want to take a picture of me.
Yeah.
But after I turned 18, I randomly applied at an agency. They were like, yeah, we love you, but get your mouth fixed because I have braces in. And then I just never signed with them, and I just freelanced until I got here.
Cool. So it was just something you decided you were going to do, and you dived into and went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You talk about maybe not coming from a little bit more less fortunate home. What were your parents' thoughts when you decided to take this on and jump into it?
I really don't think they cared.
Didn't matter. Okay, whatever you do.
Yeah, it did not matter to them.
How tall are you that everybody was commenting on that?
I'm right at 5'10".
Okay, perfect height. So up on a runway, easy to capture in a studio shoot, everything like that, right? So.
Oh yeah, very fortunate to have my height in this industry.
Modeling, was it like you talked about sports and that sort of thing? What were your interests growing up before you got into this? Was it something that you kind of had in the back of your mind, or what did you like to do when you grew up?
So I came from a very rural area.
Okay.
There was people that would ride 4-wheelers. I went hunting. I grew crops, all that kind of stuff.
What kind of crops do you grow there?
Oh, over here, mainly corn, tomatoes, potatoes, pretty mainstream stuff, nothing too outlandish.
So kind of agriculture, rural roots. That's pretty cool to develop that and see that go into the world. I'm guessing, and a lot of people find this in just about any industry, people that come from rural areas, not to toot my own horn because that's where I'm from, but when you come from outside of a city or outside of kind of that convenience lifestyle, you just have a different worth ethic and that kind of thing, right? Jumping into something like modeling, that takes you a lot further, right?
I mean, I would think so, because I'm so used to doing things wholeheartedly. You can't just half grow corn. So you have to go in it all the way.
Yep.
I think it definitely helped me.
What's kind of been the coolest shoot you gotten to do?
I was thinking about this. Every shoot is so unique. And I have a different experience every single time. So I don't really have an answer for that one. I would say a cool place that I've shot was right next to Stephen King, the author. Right next to his place. Yeah, in Florida. It was really nice.
What kind of setting was that?
So it was at a mansion, at a infinity pool, and then we went down to the private beaches they have over there, and you could see the areas they had blocked off for the sea turtle nests. It was so nice.
Sea turtle nests. Did you go and find sea turtles?
I didn't see any, but I saw the signs for it.
Yeah, it's a little different being on the beach versus in Richmond, I'm sure, anyway. So
yeah, Richmond's definitely, I wouldn't say it's a big city to me because I've never been to New York and any of that.
Sure.
It's definitely small city vibes.
Yeah. Coming from a smaller city, did you find that getting into modeling was difficult, or was there enough of a community there that you could get yourself launched?
Hey models, thanks for tuning in today. Hope that you're enjoying the episode. It's Ben here. I just wanted to invite you to the Influencer and Model Support Group on Facebook, where we've got a great growing community of people looking to help support, share tips and tricks on how to grow, become, and develop as a model. So go on Facebook, type in the search Influencer and Model Support Group, and you'll find us. Click join, you'll be added in, and you're going to find a great community of people.
Getting into modeling here in Richmond is a little bit harder than I thought it would be.
Okay.
There's the one agency that I went to that I originally applied to, and that's really it. There's no other agency in Richmond. I had there's the agency I'm signed to, but they're not technically in Richmond. They're 2 hours away from here.
Right.
So I really had to like put my mind to it and figure out like strategically what to post on Instagram to figure out how to get noticed.
Yeah, for sure. At Richmond, the agency, was that one that you got signed through first then, or was it?
Yeah, the one I'm with now is KBC Management. They're
Okay.
the first one I'm signed to.
And how do you make out? I know we've had always mixed reviews with people working with agencies. I've had a fairly good experience myself, but some people not so much. How have they been, and what kind of work have they gotten you booked?
So I personally had a great experience with my agency. I love everyone that I've met so far through it. I haven't had a bad experience yet with anyone. They primarily booked me for pretty commercial stuff, like for perfumes or other random advertisements.
Can you do that? Like, how far from home have you been able to do that kind of work?
I think, well, for them, the farthest I've gone is Florida.
Okay.
So that's about a 12-hour drive, but typically it's within 2 hours where I live.
Okay. So there's enough stuff going on kind of in your realm and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you're freelance, so that often means that you're trying to find your own work too in between. Have you done lots of TFP work, or how did you start to get your portfolio built up? Because that's a big piece of that, right? So
yeah, so ironically enough, through my model coaching classes, I find that nobody even knows what TFP is, but I feel like it's so mainstream within our industry.
Yep.
But yes, I started off with a lot of TFP shoots. Cool. And since I don't really do TFP anymore unless it's like a photographer that's my friend or I'm trying to help somebody else out.
I guess we'll introduce the fact that you're working on building a coaching practice out of your modeling experience, because you know a lot of people that have kind of wanting to get into it, but we don't know how. And you've obviously developed and found your own way through it. So coaching other people, what are some things that you tell people to get started if they want to jump in the industry?
If they want to get started, I would say go to Instagram, use your hashtags, use your phone. I started modeling through my iPhone, so cool.
Take pictures of yourself and that sort of thing, or?
Yeah, so I'd give my friends, or I would set my phone up on a tree and take pictures of myself.
A tree. Good for you. That's pretty impressive. I've tried with the tripod and I got the little remote thing, and I still can't take very good pictures of myself. So to get started in the industry, that's a pretty good skill there. So yeah, what do you like about modeling? Why did you kind of continue to pursue it?
I love people. I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. Where I'm from, there's a lot of people that looked exactly like me, and it's like, wow, we are boring. We need a little spice in our life.
Tell me a little bit about that. People that looked exactly like you. What do you mean?
Like, honestly, just plain Jane, another white person with blonde hair and blue eyes. There was a lot of us. Is
that right?
The university that I chose to go to was known for being diverse. So
okay.
I love learning, like meeting new people and experiencing and learning different cultures and backgrounds. So that's what really made me stick with modeling.
Okay. How can you expand your awareness of other people's worlds by creating and that sort of thing?
So one way that I've kind of mingled into different cultures through modeling is I've done workshops or been available for workshops where the photographers were teaching lighting with a person of like a light complexion versus a dark complexion together, and like how the lighting needs to be different or set up for two different skin tones.
Do you pick up any tips on that you're ready to share, or
that I remember?
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of his technical terms, but
from what I understand, point the camera.
Yeah. It's so you're going to need a more brighter light on their side, and kind of I guess the camera angle needs to be, instead of centered between the two of us, it needs to be focused, like pushed more to the side of the person with a darker complexion.
Oh, interesting. It kind of
That's
brings the
what
light across that way, maybe.
I guess so. I don't really understand the mechanics behind it.
That's what they said to do, right?
Mhm.
Okay, good. You obviously got some skills in taking photos of yourself. If you go check out Brandy's portfolio, it's quite fantastic. So check that out. What kind of equipment, or maybe a little bit of experience, if you were going to get started again, would there be some other things that you would want people to have, or you'd want yourself to have, getting started shooting yourself and that sort of thing?
If I were to start again, I would have less focused on taking photos outside that look decent. I would try to probably take more digital photos. So if you don't know what digitals are, they're very plain Jane photos, plain white background, black fitted clothes, very little makeup, and like natural hair. So I would recommend starting with those, then posting those to Instagram and using your hashtags like hashtag model, hashtag your location model, and all that kind of stuff. And
What
also
is
reach out to other people.
what's your skill set for reaching out to people?
Right
Strategies?
now, I always like go in, introduce myself, let them know what I like about their portfolio. I think it's good to familiarize yourself with somebody else before just reaching out and being like, hey, let's work together. It
Right.
seems like very disingenuous to me. I don't know.
People building their portfolio, you talk about the digitals, and again, they're kind of a model staple, right? Everybody should be shooting a lot of digitals. But if people are going to try and build their portfolio, what would be the next step in that, would you say?
The next step in building their portfolio. That's a good question. I would say try to venture into what it is you want your image to be. Like if you want to do a lot of editorial, keep to that in the beginning. If you want to do like mainstream fashion, like if you want to be an H&M model, keep to your blue jeans and your plain t-shirts. I would say dress and take the photos as if you're already in the place you want to be.
That's a good tip. What's Brandy's vision? What are some of the things that maybe you look towards and style after?
So I actually don't even have a goal in modeling. I've never even thought, oh my gosh, I want to be in a big name catalog or like website or in front of their presentation. I kind of just do it more so for fun and like interaction. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really nice when a good company reaches out to you and it's like, we want you, but
Yep.
there's so many great people out there. So
what's been the biggest brand or company have you gotten to work for thus far?
good question. I mean, I've been noticed by Target, but
Oh, there's a big name.
what about you, Ben? Who have you been noticed by?
I have done some work for Sport Check and Marks, which is a fairly large retail brand here in Canada. So that's kind of been one of my things. I've done quite a bit of work personally in just the influencer space, promoting some smaller products, glasses, watches, t-shirts, that sort of thing. So that's been, yeah, I just like that because it's a good opportunity to find a product that I like or that I would use and, sell it to the audience, right? I mean, it helps them out too in the long run. So.
And it's kind of a challenge, like getting those smaller products. Like you really have to learn how to like pose with glasses or with watches and make it look good and still show your face if the brand wants you to show your face and whatnot.
Right. It's easy to put your wrist up there if you're going to take a picture of a watch, but that doesn't really sell you that well unless you want to be a hand model, right? So.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about prepping for shoots and that sort of thing? Do you practice lots, or do you what's your process for getting ready to shoot?
So this is terrible, but I never practice. I never sat in front of the mirror and looked for my angles. I just kind of went into it. So just for prep, I kind of just make sure I have the essentials like intimate tape, a black t-shirt, white t-shirt, the white button up, a black pair of heels, black pair of jeans. So not a lot of prep work for me. It's probably a bad model tip, but
stock the model bag and away you go.
Mm-hmm.
What about other things that you do in life too? Because I mean, the name of our podcast is Influencer Insights, and being an influencer means that you've got some influence in other people's lives. Because partly, whether you're a photographer, model, influencer, when you're out in front of people, you've got that level of people are watching you, right? So there's other things that most models will do in their lives, whether it's it's meditation, they work out, they have good habits, they eat well, whatever. What are some things like that in your life that you do to create that better influence for others?
That's a good question as well. So I don't stick to a lot of routines or a lot of regimens. I mean, I definitely do go work out every once in a while, and I try to eat healthy, eat fresh, but that doesn't always work either. I enjoy a milkshake every once in a while.
Hey, me too.
I don't know. I just definitely try to keep up with my really close friends and just try to keep my mental health in check and hang out with my cats also. My cats are a big part of my life.
Cats. How many cats do you have?
You have two.
Okay. And their names are?
They're Luna and Callie. They're both little rescues.
Oh, really? Okay. When did you bring them to your place?
One of them, I basically got off the street 6 years ago. She's been with me.
Was she little then, or?
She's not, I mean, she's smaller than the average cat, but she's not little.
Okay.
The other one, I got her from the shelter about a year ago. She had a little broken arm, so I rehabbed her.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so they're all good now.
Practice some of your medical skills and get to save a cat, so.
Yeah, I give them a cat medication. Really helps me in the OR.
Hey, you can say you've done it now anyway, right? So cats are safe, so.
That's true.
Growing up on the rural land, did you have animals and pets and that sort of thing out there, or was it?
Out that way, we didn't really have any pets. I mean, we had a dog, but we didn't really have anything else. I mean, there was always horses and chickens and everything else around. Like every once in a while, we'd see like our neighbor's cow walk across the road, and I'm like, look at them go. Just having a grand old time.
Totally normal, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some parts of the world, that's like, whoa, look, there's a cow. And then some people would identify it as a horse. And yeah, and then it's a whole other ball of wax of explanation. but it does happen. So you touch on the mental health. What about, you ever experienced any challenges in that area of life? Have you, was that something that high school, I know for all of us, is either a really up or really down stage, and that we either come out of it up or down, and sometimes that's hard no matter which way you are, right? So, but tell me about that. Have you had any journeys in that part of life?
So coming from a less fortunate family, yes, I did struggle with mental health growing up, and I mean, it's still something I deal with to this day. Like I'm still, like right now, I'm on Zoloft and I go to therapy still, and I'm 25 years old. High school, honestly, wasn't bad for me. I wouldn't say I was really popular, but I wasn't bullied either. So I can't say that I understand anything from that realm. I feel bad for people who do have to go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, high school bothered me in the sense like, I wish like I had what all these other kids had, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's fine now. I grew up. I grew out of it. I grew into my own person. So life is great now.
And now you're doing and having things that a lot of people would wish they had about you too. So that's kind of goes around, comes around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the therapy. When did you start that, and maybe why, or how is that going as you've journeyed through that area of life?
So therapy, I feel like is the same with me. I have the same experience as everyone else. It's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. I was very reluctant to start, but in order to get financial aid here, I had to go to therapy to prove that I came from a very non-traditional family.
Sure.
For the school to approve me to be an independent student, even at the age of, I think I started college at 18.
Sure.
So I was very reluctant to start it, but I'm glad I definitely was eventually like made to in order to go to school, because I don't think I would have made it through college had I not had someone to talk to and cry to and feel normal.
So was it the first few sessions, was it, I don't want to be here and kind of tough, or was it, did you go willingly all the way through?
The first kind of sessions, I was like, man, I don't really want to talk about it. I'm here. I'm doing something. I guess I have to. And I think after like the first two sessions, I was like, okay, here's the story. This is what I need. Help me out.
Dropping it all out there after that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that maybe is a little bit skeptical and thinking of going for some therapy or getting some extra help, give any encouragement for them as they go through that? So
I was actually helping my friend the other day with one of her loved ones, trying to get them to start therapy. Good. I was trying to let them know, like, it may seem silly right now, or it might seem like it's something that's never going to help you, but it really does. Like, I come from a long history of some traumatic events. And I thought I'd never get over it. It was just something that would have to deal with my entire life. But breaking out of the cage, you feel so much better on the other side.
What was the first, you maybe don't have to talk about the thing, but do you remember that moment when you made that breakthrough and you're like, your life changed after that? Or
yeah, so I think that happened about 2 to 3-ish years ago. I moved in with my best friend D'Angelo into Richmond, and after the therapy session, I just looked at myself. I was like, wow, I'm safe, I'm free, I'm me. And it was incredible. It just felt great. I mean, I still get depressed every now and again, but I never feel as bad as I did prior to that moment.
Describe so you're explaining that you felt free. What did you feel before that? What did you realize that you were feeling before that?
I felt like it was in a box. Like I was kind of like in a cage, and it's like, I'm also more of a shy and reserved person. So I felt like, okay, I have to stay right here. I can't go out of right here. I can't, explain to people things. I can't tell people how I'm feeling because I have to get the work done and all those kinds of things. I felt like I could be me because I also had a problem with disassociating and just keep it going. So I felt like I could just actually be me and allow myself to feel and allow people to know how I'm feeling as well.
Right. That is a freeing feeling and a rewarding gift, right? To fully be who you are. So when you broke free, I mean, that was a couple years ago, you're saying, but you've been modeling for 4, 5, 6 years. What shift in kind of being in front of people and making the influence impact in others did you feel when you kind of broke free, got out of the box?
As far in the modeling space, I was looking at my page the other day, and I noticed that I never smiled in any of the photos prior.
Really?
I also had to look away from the camera. I did not make eye contact with it, no matter how many times the photographer would be like, okay, now bring your eyes to me. It's like, I don't want to. I don't want to look at you. But no, I definitely noticed that I could feel like I could be myself or express emotion in the photographs that were being taken of me.
That's amazing. I think that's a great story to be telling people because, when you're a model, you're in front of people, you're promoting yourself to be an image. And so everybody looks at you and they go, oh, wow, that's an amazing photo. And it was. And even before, when your older photos are great too, right? But breaking out of that and seeing that freedom come, I mean, that's just, some people live their whole lives and they don't get anywhere close to that, right? So, and it doesn't need to be, for people listening, that isn't something where it needs to be all of a sudden I can take even better pictures, right? It's more like you're going out in the world and all of a sudden you're out of the box and the days aren't as bad as they used to be, right? The sunrise is a little higher and the nights are a little shorter, and that's a great example for where you've been, right? So
yeah, it was definitely a long time coming, but you feel so much better on the other side. And I feel like even productivity, like in any space, you just get so much better at it.
You noticed your studies and everything kind of probably improved and that sort of thing, right? So
oh yeah, for sure. I could actually allow myself to read a chapter without pausing and be like, oh, I just don't feel like it. After that, it was way more productive. Definitely showed reads.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What a relief in a lot of ways to get that part of life out of the way, right? And move on to who you are. So You mentioned you've had friends that you've experienced that you've been helping try to get to therapy or whatever. How have you seen others come through some of the similar journeys, or are you still seeing people struggle around you?
I mean, you can find anyone, and it's not hard to find somebody that's struggling right now. My thing is just always be nice to everyone. You don't know anyone's story going around you, and even if you do, you don't know their whole story. Just be nice. It's always great to be nice to people. That
characteristic probably comes a little bit on the rural roots. I'll go back to that a touch because I think people out where there's less people just enjoy people more because you're like, oh, these are the only ones I got. But I think that's a good model for life too, to remember think of others, the golden rule, right? Do unto others, you'd have them do unto you, right? So
yeah, and I feel like you just put in a lot more effort and thought into being rude. Like, I don't know about anyone.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
Like, I'm a little lazy, and I mean, even when I talk, like, I just kind of smile a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like you have to. I feel like you have to look at someone and find, like, you actually have to like look and actively find something that you don't like, or like create a reaction, or doesn't it take more muscles in your? I'm pretty sure it takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. So
right.
Negative is intentional.
Yeah, so weird because we more often frown than smile for most people, right? So
Yeah, and most people only remember, like, most people aren't going to remember if I like say hi to them or if I ask them if they have a good day, but they'll remember that I asked them and like inquired, like they felt good about
yeah,
it, you know? People always remember how you made them feel, not
yeah.
necessarily exactly what you say.
I'm interested from somebody from Richmond, Virginia, thinking about the world in the kind of weird, chaotic place that we are. Everything's upside down, it seems. But, there's always this push-pull and, here's my viewpoint, and that's great. Everybody's welcome to your own viewpoint. But how do you think we could change some of that mishmashing all the time by just trying to be nicer and trying to understand other people? Do you think that would make some difference in the world?
Well, I mean, I believe being kind to somebody will always make a difference. I was sitting down with one of my photographers the other day, and we were having dinner. Like, it was after a photo shoot, we were grabbing pizza, and he looked at me, he was like, "You're the only model who's ever asked me how I'm doing, or if I have a family, or like what I'm like." And I was like, really? Like, that's so weird, because his name is Big. He's such a nice guy. He has a lovely family. And I'm like,
Wow.
Really? That's crazy. And he was telling me a story about, so he owns a gym, and he was telling me a story about how he went to the gym and like was talking to one of the people working out there, and he was like, "Hi, how you doing? You look great. Like, you're making so much progress. Like, I'm so happy to see you here again." And making small talk and just hyping him up a little bit. They're at the gym. That's a vulnerable place.
Yeah.
And apparently that person had come back and was like, "I'm going to renew my membership for a year." Because after that conversation, like after that session at the gym, I was going to go home and like end it all.
Wow.
Yeah, end it all. And the person was like, he was the only reason that I didn't do that.
Wow.
Like, he gave me hope in the world. So you don't know what anyone's going through. Just even a hi, how you doing? Like, looking good, you're making progress, you're doing great. Like, could make all the difference in someone else's life.
How does Brandy remember to do that? I think it's really good that we're talking about a podcast, but when you go out in the world, sometimes, I don't know, the car breaks down, or it's cold, snows, or you spill a coffee cup, or whatever it is. But what are some good ways to kind of keep your mind in that place just on a day-to-day basis when you see people?
So if I'm ever feeling down about it, I always remember, like, what did I want? What did I want when I was like 12 and 13, and nobody was asking me how I was doing. Like, I was just a fly on the wall.
Right.
What would I want somebody to do to me, or like my children, or like my siblings? I guess that's how I keep a positive mind.
That's good. Yeah. Looking back on younger Brandy, how do you think she's doing now?
I think she'll be really proud. I think she'd be excited to know that a few of our childhood best friends are still in her life. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not very common, actually, generally speaking.
Yeah, I know. I'm very lucky in that sense.
What are some of the dreams and big ambitions and stuff for the next few years for you?
That's a big question. I have so many projects going on right now.
Go for it.
Like, I'm doing model coaching, so I kind of like want to expand on that, or like at least like help I've only worked with girls so far. I haven't had any guys reach out and inquire about the class. I've had one inquire, but he hasn't set up anything yet. But I hope to look back and see like those girls are doing whatever they want to do within their model career. I'm also filming I don't know if you'd call it a podcast or like a model game show with my agency this month. So we're doing the trailer for that. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm looking into doing permanent jewelry to just get me through nursing school.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll be working in aesthetics as a nurse practitioner. What else? Oh, I'm learning how to code. It is so hard. It's the most difficult thing I've done. So
what are you learning to code?
What am I learning? I'm trying to code an app.
Okay, for iOS or Android or both?
Hopefully both.
Good
but one at a time. So I want to code an app for models. Thank you. Yeah, so in 5 years, hopefully I have at least succeeded in one of those things. I'm sure it will.
Absolutely.
Which one?
It's so amazing sometimes the things that take off for a person and the things that don't. And yeah, there's no point. You may as well try it all, right? Because you're young, ambitious, you may as well make the best of the opportunities that you got. So, oh, that's really cool. looking forward to seeing a lot of that, by the way. So make sure you're sharing and tagging and talking about that as you go along in those things. Okay.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna have to keep attention to it on one way or another.
That's right. Exactly. Tell us a little bit about your modeling coaching program. I reached out one day. I was like, I've been following Brandy for a while. We met somewhere on Instagram way back, and I recently saw. I was like, oh, Brandy's starting modeling coaching. Perfect. Somebody that's been in the industry. I knew you'd started fairly just kind of on your own. So tell us a little bit about the program and the things that you want to accomplish with that, and how you can help other people.
Yeah, so as Ben said, I've been doing this for quite some time now. So I figured like my experiences and like the things that I've learned and realized could definitely help someone else. It's kind of hard, at least in my opinion, to get into modeling. A lot of people I found don't know where to start or how to get started. So I'm offering a couple things right now. One of them being like a Zoom call that we're doing right now, and I have a presentation. And prior to the Zoom call, I try to ask it's only been girls so far. Try to ask the girl like, what is something you definitely want to know about, or is there anything that in this list that you already know, you got it, I don't need to waste your time on it. So doing that and then letting them know, hey, after this call, feel free to reach out anytime. Like you can message me whenever. I'll still continue to help you. Don't feel like this is a one and done. Another part of the coaching that I'm doing is I will go with a model to a shoot. So if they want me to, I can style it and like schedule the photographer and everything. But I'll definitely at least go to the shoot with them and guide them through poses or anything else that I see that they could improve on, or if they feel like they need help with. So yeah, those are the things that I'm working with them right now.
Have you had any success stories yet? Anybody getting out there and shooting? Got the confidence up now that they worked with you?
Yeah, one girl actually, she's been sending me photos back and forth about like, hey, do you like this? Because I recommended her start like with an iPhone, like how I did. Or reaching out to photographers. I sent her a few photographers that I'd recommend around the area that I worked with. They do trade and they're just overall like nice people, and I trust them. So I've sent her to them, and yeah, she's been sending me photos that she's taken around like school, because she's also at school right now.
Cool.
And it's been pretty good so far.
That's awesome. How do you, maybe a freebie out of the coaching program, how do you reach out to different photographers? Do you have a way of finding them? Or because sometimes that's a challenge. People are like, I don't even know where to start. They don't want to go talk to the big photographers because they hate to steal their business, but there must be somebody smaller around people, right? So
with Richmond, there's two different schools here. And VCU, the one that I went to, is a big art school. So I often tell I've told a couple people like, hey, reach out to the people that are in the photography program or videography program. There's always students there that want to do trade. They can't afford to pay a professional model. So working and like, you both get to help each other. They get experience posing someone or talking to someone that's potentially going to be a model, and you get practice in front of the camera and kind of like learn the etiquette that way. But definitely look up your hashtags, like go on Instagram and look up like your location model. Look at models that I've posted on there, go to the photographers and reach out, be like, hey, my name is Brandy. I'm a new model. Like, do you want to collab, or do you do TFP and stuff like that? Right. Most of the time people will say yes. I mean, worst comes to worst, they say no.
That's right. And once you get a few shoots under your belt, it's not like you're totally coming out of the blue either, right? So that probably helps too. So
yeah, normally it only takes like one shoot and people are reaching out.
They're
at
like,
least
you're a model. Yeah, perfect. Something I like to touch on as we start to get towards the end here, but model safety. Is there some things that you've seen yourself or that you've seen other people go through that you would recommend people be cautious of?
Yeah, so I've heard some horror stories in the industry, and you definitely have to keep yourself safe no matter where you are. I recommend looking up that person. So let's just say like photographer Bob reaches out. You can go on their page and like see who they've worked with and even message them. I've never messaged a model who was like, leave me alone. Normally, if you ask them about a photographer, they're open and they let you know.
Good.
Also, definitely look at their work. If they're doing more boudoir, like stuff that you're not interested in, maybe that's not the photographer that you need to be talking to. Right. I mean, I also bring mace too. And when I was brand new and traveling to different places, I would always bring a friend and keep your location on.
Right. I'm hearing more of that one all of a sudden. That seems to be a good tip. So that's awesome. Any horror stories yourself that you want to share? Or?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've had one photographer basically ask me to take my shirt off, and I was like, look, I'm the wrong person you hired.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
good for you.
Luckily it didn't go any farther than that. So,
yep.
It's the worst that I've experienced, thank goodness.
I think a lot of people realize if they intend to make a business or be around for any length of time that, there's a level of professionalism in everything we do, right? So models talk, as you say, and if you are a model or if you're a photographer, just remember to talk to other people or realize that the talking is happening, because nobody wants to be a bad name out there either, right? So if you want to make this happen, it takes being professional. So
yeah, and word does spread in our industry. Like if someone's a creep or someone's unprofessional, a lot of other people will know very fast.
Very quickly. Yeah, pros and cons to social media, but that's definitely one of the pros for sure. Things can move pretty quick. So
yeah.
How do people get a hold of you? How do we get in contact with you if they want to set up a coaching session, or if they want to maybe shoot with you, or vice versa?
Yeah, so I mean, my DMs on Instagram are always open. My email is up there. They can also contact me through my website. It's www.brandyscibelli.com. So yeah, you can message me anyway.
Open book, whatever you need.
Awesome.
Something I like to kind of close off with is if Instagram blows up and you end up with 1 million followers overnight, or I don't know, TikTok, Facebook. Oh, that's getting pretty old, the Facebook thing, but whatever. MySpace, way back. If one of those blows up in Brandy's pages, is there a big message that you want people to know or to hear from you in the world?
Someone asked me a question yesterday. It was something along the lines like, what do you want written on your tombstone? So this is kind of like essentially the same question. Something that I said earlier, people will always remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you say. So that's probably what I would want people to know.
Make people feel important and special, and everything else will follow along, right? So Right on. Well, we do appreciate you coming on, Brandy, and talking about your coaching program and sharing some modeling tips and just hearing about you and your story. I think that's a really good place to be in. And it's important in our world to share with one another the things that we've been through, because that helps us all go to that next level. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, that's been awesome. So
it's been a great time.
Hey there. Really appreciate you joining the Influencer Insights podcast today. If you've enjoyed this episode, I just would ask that you share it with a friend and give the video a like or the podcast a rating, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite other player anywhere else. That really helps us share the message and grow this community as well. So thanks for that. Take care. Have a great day.